Um, how many games will the Philadelphia Eagles win in 2024? What's going on, Eagles fans and birds? It's your boy Mayo Jones here, back at with another NFL rec prediction. And this time we're doing an NFL rec prediction for the Philadelphia Eagles for the 2024 NFL season. We're going to get started here. And I'm going to give you my game analysis, see which games I think the Eagles will win and which games I think the Eagles will lose. So before I give you my rec prediction for the Fly, Eagles Fly record prediction for the NFL 2024 records for the NFL season, don't forget to put a thumbs up to like the video, subscribe to my channel for more options, and comment down your opinion below to see how many games you think the Eagles will win. Do you think the Eagles are gonna make the playoffs? Do you think they'll win the division and go to the Super Bowl, or you think they'll miss the playoffs? So let me know in the comments section below what you guys think. All right, so week 1, they have to play against the Packers in Brazil, which that's pretty tough to play at. Which this is gonna be a fun game to watch. It's gonna be the fly high Packers offense versus the fly high Eagles offense as well. This should be a really good game to watch because both offenses are very good. Defenses are a little suspect. Like, I think in terms of personnel, I think Green Bay has better personnel on defense. Eagles kind of have slightly. I don't think they have personnel on defense. Like, the Eagles do have a good coaching staff. They did improve with Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. The Packers got a new defense coordinator. I don't know how's that going to work. So basically, I think this game right here can definitely go either way because, Eagles are not good at home sometimes. But the game's in Brazil, and it should be fun to watch. I think this game will be close and competitive. I can see Green Bay winning that game, but I'm going to take the Eagles because I think the Eagles are a superior team. I think the Eagles, got more weapons on. I feel like they got better weapons on offense. I think Green Bay's weapons are still kind of young. I think the Eagles can move the ball on the Packers, given that the Packers against the run sometimes are very weak. They're very soft against, they can run the ball on them. They can at least throw at them a little bit. I think even though the Packers secondary is pretty talented, I think Eagles can win their one-on-one matchups against them, and their pass rush is really good, which I think the Eagles can block the Packers. And I think the Eagles got a really good talented defense. I think the Eagles are good at stopping the run. Maybe they'll find a way to slow down Josh Jacobs in that rushing attack, and I think they can make life difficult on Jordan Love and all that. I think Vic Fangio will come with a good game plan. Like, he's good at blitzing a lot. I think he'll find a way to blitz Jordan Love, make him throw the ball in the middle of the field. And, their secondary is pretty talented, which I think they can, at least get sticky against a young receiving core in Green Bay. So, yeah, I think this game will be fun to watch. But I think the Eagles find a way to pull this one out. Okay, so week 2, they have to play against the Falcons on a Monday night. This is going to be a fun game to watch. It's primetime Kirk Cousins against Jalen Hurts. Now, I believe last time when Kirk Cousins with the Vikings, I believe Kirk Cousins did outplay Jalen Hurts, and the Eagles ended up winning that game. I think this game could be a little bit of a shootout. Now, the Falcons do have a really good offense. They got good weapons on offense that can really attack you. And they do have a good offensive line, but their defense is a little suspect. I think Philly's defense is better, but I'm going to say the Eagles are going to win this game because I think the Eagles, are just a slightly better version of the Falcons. I think they're just a better team overall, better coaching staff. They're at home. And it's the home opener too. And I just have a feeling that Atlanta will be dealing with some learning curves. They have a new head coach and a new quarterback and new weapons on offense. A lot of new culture going on in Atlanta. The defense is a little suspect, so I think the Eagles can run the ball on them. And I think they can attack their secondary with their weapons that the Eagles have. I feel like A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, those guys are going to be a problem for that Falcons secondary. So yeah, I like the Eagles here in this game to win. So yeah. The next game, week 3 against the New Orleans Saints. This is a tricky matchup. This game can go either way. I can definitely see the Saints win this game because the game's in New Orleans. And New Orleans is always tough to play at because New Orleans is a dome team. Now, they do have a really good defense that can definitely give the Eagles a lot of fits. Like, their secondary is pretty talented. Their defensive line is pretty good. But the old line is totally suspect. They got good weapons that can really attack you. And, Derek Carr, has struggled against the Eagles throughout his career. So I feel like this game right here can definitely go either way. I think it will be closer than people expected. But even though the game's in New Orleans, I don't think it matters. I'm taking the Eagles to win this game because I think the Eagles are just the slightly better team overall. They got the better coaching staff. And I just think, the Saints, do struggle against quarterbacks who can move. And Jalen Hurts, can move a little bit. So yeah, and I just feel like the St. Eagles offensively, I feel like they can like win their one-on-one matchups against the Saints cornerbacks and all that. So yeah, and I think Jalen Hurts gonna have a good game here. I feel like Derek Carr will struggle against his Eagles defensive line because the Eagles defensive line is pretty strong. They can get pressure on them. They have a good secondary that can really man up against the Saints receivers, which I don't think they'll win their one-on-one matchups. I think Derek Carr is gonna have a tough time and all that. So yeah, I know the game's in New Orleans, but I think the Eagles are just slightly better team overall, and they're better coach team as well. And Vic Fangio's gonna find a way to blitz Derek Carr. So yeah, I think they'll find a way to win that game. Week 4 against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a rematch from the playoffs. Now this game right here can definitely go either way. I can see the Eagles win this game because I think they're a better team than the Bucs. Now I remember last year the Eagles did beat them in the regular season and they lost in the playoffs. So I think this is it's gonna be a tricky game. It's gonna be a fun game to watch. I think it will be close than we expected, but I'm gonna say the Bucs are gonna pull off the upset. I'm gonna give the Bucs the win because I think the Bucs, Todd Bowles does a good job at defending mobile quarterbacks, and he's gonna put up a good game plan against Jalen Hurts like he did in the playoffs. I feel like he can blitz him, make him throw the ball in the middle of the field. The Bucs got a really good pass rush that can really get after Jalen Hurts. They have a great secondary that can man up against Eagles receivers. Their offensive line is pretty good. And, I feel like with the Bucs receivers, with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, I think they can win their one-on-one matchups against the Eagles secondary. So, yeah, I think Baker is going to have a good game here. So, that's why I think the Bucs now I feel like it kind of reminds me now when they because they even beat the Eagles with Tom Brady like twice. So yeah, even without Tom Brady, I think they can do that. So I like the Bucs here to win that game. Then they get a bye week. Then after the bye week, they get a week to prepare and extra time to rest. And they got to play against the Browns at home. This is going to be an interesting game. It can go either way, but I'm going to lean towards the Eagles to win this game because I think the Eagles are coming off a bye. They're going to have a week to prepare and all that. And the Browns, when they play against now the Browns are an interesting team. Now, when they play on the road against the good teams, they tend to struggle. Like their defense doesn't really play on the road and all stuff like that because the game's not in Cleveland, it's in Philly. I think the Eagles can move the ball on the Browns, and I think, even though the Browns got a really good secondary, I think the Eagles can win their one-on-one matches against the Browns corners. And I think the Eagles O-line can block the Browns. Like I think they'll go do a good job, like slowing down the Browns pass rush. And so yeah, and I think their defense is just going to give the Browns offense and Deshaun a tough time. And I think their secondary can man up against the Browns receivers. So yeah, I think it could be a defensive game, But I think the Eagles defense is just going to win them this game. And especially the Eagles, they're at home. They're the more complete team, better quarterback. So, yeah, I think the Eagles find a way to win that game at home. Then next game against the Giants, I'm gonna say the Giants are gonna win one against the Eagles because last year, the Giants had beat the Eagles, last year in New York. That's when the Eagles did struggle, and the Giants offense did do a really good job moving the ball, and their defense, really found a way to defend Jalen Hurts. I think where the Giants need to improve pass rush, I think they'll find a way to get after the Eagles. I think they'll find a way to at least defend Jalen Hurts and all that, especially with the new receiver core improved with Malik Neighbors. I think the Giants offense will have a good game here. And I think their defense will too. So I think the Giants will win that game. Next game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, this game's in Cincy, so I'm taking the Bengals to win this game because I think the Bengals are just a slightly better team. They got the better quarterback. I think their coaching is better, and they're at home. I think the Bengals, I feel like Joe Burrow will have a good time here. Like, the Bengals got some good weapons that can really attack you, like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Mike Gesicki. I think they'll win their one-on-one matchups against the Eagles secondary, and their offensive line is pretty much improved, which I think they can block the Eagles a little bit. And I think their defense is pretty strong. I think the defensive line is going to give Jalen Hurts a ton of issues. And I think the secondary can do a good job, covering the Eagles receivers. So Big Lou's going to have a really good game plan against this Eagles offense. I think he'll find a way to confuse Jalen Hurts and all that. So, yeah. But I think this game right here is going to be close. It could be fun to watch, but I think it could be a high-scoring game, though. But I think the Bengals find a way to win this game. Maybe they can win by a touchdown, or maybe they win with the defense. So, yeah, I like the Bengals here in that matchup. Then week 9 against the Jags. This could be a Doug Peterson revenge game, but I'm going to say the Eagles are going to bounce back. I don't see the Eagles losing 3 straight games, so I'm going to say the Eagles, bounce back and get a win against the Jags. I think the Eagles are a better team. They're at home, and I just think, the Jags' weakness is kind of their offensive line. So I think the Eagles' defensive line could take advantage of that and give Trevor Lawrence some fits and make him throw the ball in the middle of the field. And especially Vic Fangio, he's going to put up a good game plan how to blitz, Trevor Lawrence and all that. And especially the Eagles got a great secondary that can really man up against the Jags receivers. So, yeah. And I think, their O-line can block the Jags. I think the weapons they have on offense, they can at least, attack the Jags secondary. So, yeah. I think the game will be close. But if this game was in Jacksonville, I can roll with the Jags. But the game's in Philly, so I think the Eagles will win that game. Then next game against the Dallas Cowboys. I got the Cowboys winning this game because the game is in Dallas. And I think they'll beat the Eagles once like they always do. Especially Dallas plays really well in Dallas because they're a fast team. Like, they have a fast offense and a fast defense. And, I think that, and especially Dallas does a really good job defending the Eagles, especially figuring out how to slow down, blitz Jalen Hurts, defend him, make him uncomfortable in the pocket. And offensively, they just move the ball on the Eagles defense. So yeah, that's why I think Dallas will win this game at home, and I think Dallas is just a superior team in that game. That's why I think the Cowboys win. The next game against Commanders this is on a short week, but it's in Philly. I got the Eagles winning this game because the game is at home, and they got the better quarterback, the better coaching staff. And I think they're a better team overall. I mean, Commanders going to be doing learning curves, new head coach, new quarterback, and all that. So. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much why the Eagles win, especially they're at home in this game, so yeah. Week 12 against the Los Angeles Rams. This is a game that can definitely go either way. Now, this is a game from last year where the Eagles did win this game, but I'm actually going to go with the Rams here to win this game because the game is in LA, and LA is kind of a tricky place to play at, but I think the Eagles are a better team from a talent standpoint, but I think the Rams, at home is pretty tough. And I think, the Rams have a great offensive line, a good run game, they got multiple weapons like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nakua who can really attack you with. I think they can win their one-on-one matches against the Eagles receivers. But I think that's a team I think Philly definitely owns. Philly has owned the Rams. Now I believe last time the Rams did beat them in Philly, but I think the Rams can because their offense can have a good game here. And I think, their defense, even though it's not great, I'm not too worried about their passers, but I think as long as they can crowd the blocks, I think they'll play the run. And all of a sudden, I think they did upgrade the secondary to man up against the Eagles receivers. So, yeah. So, I think it's going to be an offensive game, but I think the Rams are going to win at least by a touchdown or a field goal. So, yeah, I like the Rams here in this game, especially they're at home. They got a better quarterback and a better coach, in my opinion. So, yeah, that's why I think the Rams will win. Next game, week 13 against the Ravens. Obviously, I got the Ravens winning this game because it's in Baltimore, which is a tough place to play at. And especially, I think they're just a better team overall. And, they have a better coaching staff. And I just think the Ravens, can really attack you. And they're good on the line of scrimmage. Like, they don't really get dismantled. They don't really get outplayed. Like, they can really run the ball really well. They can throw the ball really well. And, their defense is very good. They got good corners and all that can really man up against Eagles receivers. And their defense can stop the run really well and all that. So, yeah, I think the Ravens can win that game. Next game, week 14 against the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, they should easily beat the Panthers. Panthers, they still stink. They're going to be doing learning curves to have a new head coach. The Panthers, did improve their receiving core. Their offensive line did improve. The defense is still good, but not great. So I think the Eagles can move the ball on them a little bit. And they pretty much have a better defense than the Panthers. I think they can find a way to disrupt Bryce Young. They got corners who can man up against the Panthers receivers. So, yeah. And ultimately, the Eagles are just a better team, better quarterback, better coaching staff. They're at home. So, yeah, that's pretty much why. Next game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, I think the Eagles will beat the Steelers. The Steelers, are just not really – like, the Eagles are just a better team overall. They're at home in this game. I kind of remember in this game where the Steelers did beat the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles did beat the Steelers, though, in Philly one time when Kenny Pickett was a quarterback. So, yeah, I think I did remember that. I think the Eagles are a better version of the Steelers. Like, the Eagles, they just got a really good – I think the Steelers' pass rush is really good. They can get Jalen Hurts and the Eagles' offense issues. But I think the Eagles can block the Steelers. Like, I think their O-line can control their pass rush. And I think, the Eagles can really attack the Steelers secondary at the middle of the field. And especially, I think their defense is going to give Russell Wilson a lot of issues. Justin Fields could definitely be playing this game by later in the season. Like, who knows? And, they pretty much have a good secondary that can really man up against George Pickens. So, yeah, especially the Eagles got just more weapons on offense. So, yeah. So, that's why I think the Eagles will win that game. Next game against the Washington Commanders. I can see Philly sweeping them, but I think the Commanders are going to win, are going to split the season series. I think Washington will win because sometimes Washington tends to play the Eagles really well. And especially Dan Quinn is familiar with the Eagles. Like, he's done a good job defending the Eagles. I think he will with his defense. I think he will put up a good game plan. So, yeah, I think, Jaden Daniels will have a good game here as well. So, yeah, I think Washington's going to win that game. And then the next two games, week 17, 18, they play against the Giants and Cowboys. I got them winning the last two games to split the season series against the Cowboys because, like they always do. And the Giants because, the Eagles pretty much own the Giants. And Giants are not going to have much to play for because the Giants, they're not going to even make the playoffs. And Eagles are trying to fight for a playoff spot. They could be looking for a top seed, or they could definitely look for a lower seed in the playoffs. So, yeah, Eagles is a better team overall, better quarterback, better coaching staff. They're at home in this game. So, yeah, that's why. So, obviously, I got the Eagles going 10-7. which is not bad, and it should be good enough to make the playoffs. 3-3 in division, 7-5 in the conference, 9-0 at home, 1-7 away. It's really not bad at all because when you look, so I feel like 10-7 is good enough for the Eagles to make the playoffs. I can see them at least being as high as maybe like 11-6, 12-5, 13-4. I say maybe they go 13-4 at best and maybe 9-8 at worst. So when you look at the Eagles schedule when you look at the schedule, they have to play some teams in the NFL. Like they have to play the Packers, they play the Buccaneers, they gotta play the Saints and the Falcons, they play the Browns, they play the Bengals, the Jags, the Cowboys twice, the Rams, the Ravens, the Steelers. I mean, this is kind of a hard schedule. Like the Eagles gotta play the best team in the AFC, best division football is the AFC North teams, which it may not be easy though. So yeah, I think the Eagles can go somewhere from like 10 to 12 wins. But I'm going with 10 because of a harder schedule. The only teams the Eagles don't have to play is the Bills or the Niners. So or the Chiefs or the Texans so yeah. So I think 10-7 sounds about right for the Eagles. I think they'll come in second in division, given the thought about their personnel. Now, most people could be picking them to win division because they made improvements. The Saquon Barkley addition was a really good move. I like the offensive line. It's pretty strong despite Jason Kelce retiring. The defensive line, defense is going to be up and down. They lost Fletcher Cox. He retired. They traded Hassan Reddick away, and they also had Bryce Huff. They brought back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I like the draft pick with the first round and second round with Cooper Jardine and Quinton Mitchell. Maybe they can be future star corners as Slay starts to retire. So I think, the Eagles are in good position, to go on another playoff run. So, yeah, I think the Eagles, I wouldn't be shocked they won division or miss out on the playoffs. I think, the Eagles, have a slightly edge for a playoff team. I think they'll be good enough to make the playoffs. But like I said, I could see the Eagles, losing to like the Saints. I could see them, losing to I could see them lose to the Saints. I could see them beat the Rams or the Ravens. I could definitely see them losing to Jacksonville. I can easily see them sweeping Commanders or in the Giants, or I can definitely see them lose to the Packers. Some of these games I can definitely see them wins and lose to. So I think 10-7 sounds right. Sounds about right for the Eagles, and it should be good enough to make the playoffs. So yeah. So let me know in the comment section below how you feel about the Eagles and all that. So if you think they're gonna be back in the playoffs or not. So yeah. With Emmanuel Jones, for a big fan. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys later in the next video. Later on. Peace.